And we talk about things that New Yorkers should care about, but apparently they don't care enough about when they go to the polls. Of course, I'm talking about energy policy on both the state and the federal level. And it's a pleasure to welcome back onto the show from the American Petroleum Institute, Karen Moreau. Karen, great to have you on again.
Gene, it's great to be with you. Thank you.
So when last we spoke, you gave me a whole education on hydrofracking. And it turned out that Cuomo decided to come out against that after waiting forever and delaying after an election to do it. But now we're going to be talking about, so now we're going to be talking about his latest policy regarding the Constitution pipeline, once again turning against the best interests of the citizens of his state.
That's right, Gene. Now, states like Pennsylvania, our neighbor to the south, have the second largest natural gas fields where they're pumping and producing record amounts of natural gas, all contributing to making the United States the leading producer today of oil and natural gas. And New York State is one of the biggest importers of natural gas as its source of energy both for electricity generation and for heat. And New York City in particular uses a tremendous amount of natural gas. So in order to get the gas from the shale fields of Pennsylvania to places like New York City, we need pipelines. We don't have enough. And there's a project called the Constitution Pipeline, which would have actually brought gas from northern Pennsylvania up through some of the poorest regions in upstate New York, connected into another pipeline, which would have then transported that gas to New England and to New York City. And Governor Cuomo's DEC several weeks ago denied a water permit that is part of the process for getting this pipeline constructed. This is a pipeline that the FERC, which is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, federal agency, had already done all the environmental studies. And after a period of extensive review, FERC had already approved this pipeline. But it was Cuomo's DEC that, again, after several years of review, denied the application.
And now I understand that this is the subject of a lawsuit in the state of New York.
That's correct. The builders of the pipeline have just filed a lawsuit challenging DEC's decision. They have gone to federal court, the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of New York, arguing that the state does not have authority in this matter and that they're preempted by federal law. They've also filed another suit in the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in the Second Circuit, calling DEC's ruling arbitrary and capricious, as well as an impermissible challenge to the FERC's earlier approval. It's really a very unfortunate situation. You know, that pipeline would have created 2,400 jobs just in the construction of the pipeline in upstate New York.
Yes, go into that. Upstate New York needs those jobs.
Yes, upstate New York is dying. It's been dying for decades. Fracking had offered so much hope to people in upstate New York. That was denied by Cuomo. Now they've denied the Constitution Pipeline, again, denying opportunity. In addition to those construction jobs, Gene, there are two factories, and there aren't many left in upstate New York, two manufacturing companies that together employ about 3,000 people. They had been hanging in there waiting for this pipeline to bring them low-cost natural gas to help with their bottom line. Now the future of those companies is in jeopardy because of this denial. And
this is coming from a governor who thinks that upstate jobs are going to be done like tech jobs and all these things like that. Meanwhile, you have the capability to bring thousands of jobs to the state, and you're choosing not to. It boggles the mind. It really does.
Not only that, Governor's energy plan of 2015 called for an increased use of natural gas. And certainly Cuomo has been leading the pack and, to try to claim the title of the most environmentally friendly governor in the nation. In reality, he's doing things that actually hurt the environment. Natural gas is the cleanest burning of the hydrocarbons. And it's because of the increased use of natural gas, all due to fracking technology, that we have the lowest carbon emissions in 20 years in this country. It's not because of renewables. It's not because of solar and wind. And certainly in some parts of the country, solar might make sense or wind might make sense. But what do you do when the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow? You need a reliable source of energy, and natural gas has actually been replacing coal in electricity generation to the point where it has significantly reduced carbon emissions in our atmosphere.
It's absolutely amazing to me how voters are so unaware of issues like this. Normally, we say that voters vote with their pockets. When you have increased energy costs, they'll take notice. But it doesn't seem like this year there is a particular interest in energy policy, because everybody's seeing that the pain at the pump is a little lower, and the delivery of their home heating oil is a little lower, but it's all artificial, and people don't seem to get that right after this election, those prices are going back up again, and you're going to feel even more pain, right?
Well, you're right. I mean, gas prices have been, very low, frankly, comparatively low, lowest in many years, and that, again, is due to fracking. It's because of this technology that we have produced so much oil in this country, and that has led to certainly a real decrease in the price of crude oil. But that, of course, reflects itself ultimately at the pump, and people aren't feeling the pain, so to speak, so they're not really thinking about the future of energy. And you can't think about national security and not consider energy policy. This is a really big issue. We have countries around the world that historically, some of our most serious threats, Russia, countries in the Middle East, that dominated the control of oil for decades. And we've reversed that because of all the domestic production in the United States. The sad thing is we have our own government, whether it's at the national level with the Obama administration or at the state level with a governor like Cuomo, that are doing everything they can to obstruct the continued production and the continued delivery of this resource to our own people. And what that means is you're enabling foreign nations to captivate the market. You have situations in New England right now, which has the highest electricity prices in the nation, where they're having to import natural gas from Qatar and from Saudi Arabia because these pipelines can't get built. So Cuomo is impacting national security. This is why the federal government really needs to, overrule an arbitrary decision like the Cuomo administration just delivered.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. One thought as you were speaking came into my head, and for those of you who are outside of the New York State area, you have to realize that the upstate region is not where Cuomo's power base is when it comes to money and votes. His power base comes from New York City and the surrounding areas, where the Democrat vote dominates any Republican or conservative vote. Upstate is much more conservative than, and even the Democrats up there didn't vote for Andrew Cuomo in the last primary. I wonder if there's a little bit of political vindictiveness going on here, Karen, because Cuomo lost most of upstate, not only in the general election, but in his own primary. Do you think there are political calculations here?
Well, it's hard not to think that way, Gene, because when one looks at the policies of his administration since his reelection, he has become draconian in his treatment of upstate New York. He has really robbed upstate New York of all opportunity. He's got a boondoggle that he's created right now in Buffalo with this Solar City factory, where he's claimed that it was going to provide thousands of jobs. They were going to build the biggest solar factory in the world with $750 million of taxpayer money. And what's happening right now is they're only predicting several hundred jobs And this is something that, may fail because the company, Solar City, is in deep financial trouble. All I have to mention is the word Solyndra to give you an example of what I'm talking about. This is something that the governor is doing because he wants to benefit his wealthy environmental backers, these foundations, the types that, the Hollywood celebrities that donate heavily to progressive causes, including, governors like Cuomo. And that's his base. And he doesn't care about upstate New York.
That much is clear. So listen, last question, then we gotta get moving here. Obviously, election 2016, very important now. Donald Trump appears to be the presumptive nominee. What do you want to hear from either candidate, whether it be the Democrat or the Republican, in discussing energy policy? What are you looking for, and what should voters be listening to hear?
I think what you want to hear is a president that understands that with domestic energy production comes national strength, both in the economy and in our defense of our nation. That's what you want to hear. You want to hear a seriousness about energy policy, and you don't want to hear pandering to the environmental groups. And unfortunately, Hillary Clinton several years ago was in support of fracking. And, recently in some of the debates with Bernie Sanders, she's, come out and said things like it will be the highest level of regulation with the idea that it will deter fracking. These kinds of statements are irresponsible. And we need people there who are serious about energy policy because it really is the backbone of our nation's economy and our national defense.
Great stuff, Karen. Thanks for coming on the show. I always appreciate opportunities where we can bash Andrew Cuomo, and giving me that opportunity is fantastic. So thank you for that. And folks, while you're listening to this great interview, I want you to go check out www.api.org, the American Petroleum Institute. It's not just about oil, folks. It's about energy independence. It's about making sure we have a strong economy, strong national security like Karen's been talking about. And Karen, if people want to find out more about you, where can they find it on the social media and all that fun stuff?
You can see me at Karen B. Moreau. I'm on Twitter. Google me. You can find me.
Absolutely. You Google anybody these days, you can find them. Karen, I always love having you on the show because we talk about things that make people go, and maybe rethink their positions about where this country should be going. Karen Moreau from API, American Petroleum Institute, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Gene.
The show will be right back. But first, a word from Al Sharpton.
But resist we much. We must. They're all jitty about a shutdown. The tortoise in the race, then co-author of Hubris. U2 lead singer Bono, Fran Drescher, Sigourney Weaver, suspect Jahar Tsarnaev, Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh, the show Rush Lombard hosts Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Is Mike Muckery yesterday, Antonin Scalia, Kim Kardashian, and the Republican candidates, both Cairo and Benghazi. We rank behind Lavita. First stop, Kazakhstan to college students in Beijing. He's getting lunch at Chipotle in Iowa. Bain is appropriate. The GOP's tax day giveaway to millionaires. Why was traffic problems email sent? The Environmental Projection Agency. And what sequestration has done.
But wait, there's more.
We all know I've had my share of prompter issues. And here's the president meeting with a cola cube. Republicans, Grinches, launching fistful of coal. Copies of the new issue of Charlie Hebdo. He also goes by the name Michael Zahabilba. 26-year-old Nina. Phone. Ray Romano. Honor David Letterman. He died of accidental as females. Our